Guys, this is Lord Chael speaking on behalf of our show sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. They allow you to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so you can officially call yourself a lord or a lady. Established Titles is not just about your ego. You also get to do some good. In addition to your new fancy title, Established Titles supports global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to help with the afforestation effort. Your title pack gets you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land in a private estate in Scotland. Your certificate features a unique plot number where you can see the exact location of your land. And right now, Established Titles is holding 200 plots of land right next to mine. So come join me in the Bad Guy Inc. Kingdom. Getting this certificate even allows you to officially change your name to Lord or Lady. Put it on your credit card, put it on your plane tickets, or if you're so inclined, put it on your dating profile. Makes for a great last-minute gift, and there's even couples packs that come with adjoining plots of land. Established Titles is having a great limited time sale. Go to establishedtitles.com/Chael to save 10% off today. Remember to use the promo code Chael or just click on the link below. Main event. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Guys, here's what happened, okay? I'm at home last night, and I'm covering the fight, and I'm doing some selfies here, getting the Instagram ready, and I get a tweet. I get a tweet from somebody claiming to be an MMA source, right? I mean, they didn't use their name. This wasn't like John Doe. This was MMA Express or something along these lines. And he says to me, hey, Chael, what do you think the positive benefits are going to be for Charles Oliveira now that he's had eye surgery and he sees perfectly? I did not know that happened. Sounds like a very massive story. I would have a lot of thoughts on that. That is a very curious point. And I wrote the guy back and I said, what is your source? Well, when I wrote him that back, I had about 10 people weigh in and provide sources for me. Now, the source was interviews of Charles Oliveira himself speaking about that and showing Charles at press conferences and media days and doing autographs and these things without wearing his glasses. Well, that's interesting. That's a very interesting detail. Now, it came in a little bit late, and I don't know that we need to digress, but certainly that would be a positive. If I asked you guys to go in a fight and you had to cover your eyes or even just lightly, and then you got to take your hand down, you know which one you would rather, if you were in combat, be actually doing. Okay. The bad news is this. Okay, and this is very bad news. For the people that were willing to overlook Oliveira's record, 8 losses, for the people that were willing to do that, and were attempting to say this is the greatest fighter in the world, not only at 50, but we should give him the belt like that. That was a talk. Not only do we give him the belt, we put him the best ever. Forget about Khabib being 29-0 and forget about Oliveira's losses. This is the best ever. I actually am not against that argument. In terms of, I don't think a 29-0 is better than 18-8 just because one says 0 and one says 8. Like, I'm open to that conversation, but we had people that were saying, to hell with all of that. This is the greatest. This is the pound-for-pound great. He's going to destroy Islam. As a matter of fact, Islam doesn't even belong in there. Islam should not even be the #1 contender. I mean, this was a really real conversation. And for that side, I just need to ask them nice and calmly, right? I don't want to shout at somebody because they have a different opinion, but I want to ask them real calmly, do you really believe that? That there is nothing that has gotten Charles the bounce and the notoriety and the stardom like his last 3 fights. And if you watch those last 3 fights, you go, oh my goodness, this guy is amazing. Is that really what you saw? And I would ask you that because in those last 3 fights, I saw a guy almost lose 3 times in a row. In his last 3 fights, I saw a guy almost get finished decisively by 3 different opponents. Did you miss that part? Now, I saw a comeback, and I saw grit, And I saw an overall skill set from the wrestling he showed against Tony to the power that he showed against Gaethje to the submission understanding that he showed against Oliveira. Boy, I saw something special. Please don't mistake me. I saw something special there. But there was a belief that that was the best that had ever done it. A guy who 3 fights in a row was on the canvas with referees almost going to stop the fight. Now, I'm only saying that. I'm only bringing that to you because, while getting those victories were impressive and helps to solidify your spot in the main event, there was questions on Islam because he hadn't had the same opponents. He hadn't had the same ranking guys. He hadn't had the same adversity. He hadn't had those same hard moments. Guys, where in sport would that come to any other conclusion than being an advantage? Because none of it's wrong. I would never dispute who had the harder path. I'd never dispute who fought and beat the better guys. I would just be factually wrong to make an argument about who had more ranked opponents. I mean, that's a number that we can go and find, and all of those things went to Charles. How is that an advantage? That is my question. Where in life would that ever be an advantage? Now, I was a tournament guy. I came up through tournaments. Every Saturday you had a tournament. So you're taking on 5 and 6 and sometimes 7 guys in one day. But when the finals came around, whoever had the easier path was viewed by everybody, including their opponent, to have a meaningful advantage. I get that that's all in one day. One guy's more worn down and he's a little bit more banged up before you get a hold of him and you didn't have all those same battles. I get where that one's really obvious. But why does it change over a career? See, fighting's not like other sports, guys. Any other sport, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Any sport except this one. The more times you get knocked down is the less times you're going to be able to continue to get knocked down. The more times that you got to go the distance, the more times that you got to come from behind, the more times that it's iron on top of iron, the duller that weapon gets. And I don't know how that was missed. There was a massive argument that Charles is going to win, and he's going to win because he has had harder opponents. That's not good. That's a negative. Whoever reached the finals with the least path of resistance has the advantage. I don't know how that was missed. And there was a belief going into this fight that great jiu-jitsu and great submission was going to win the day. Guys, I have a black belt. I founded Submission Underground. I mean, you know that I love submissions. You know that I believe in them. I certainly don't speak against my own craft of jiu-jitsu. I'll just share with you. We within the community don't believe our best position is guard. It's the position we practice and we teach to others. If everything fails, you got to know how to fight there. And I only bring that because that is a misconception that nobody's understood, including through the days of the great Damian Maia. Damian Maia essentially reproved at a time that it really needed reproved that jiu-jitsu is still king. But he didn't do it from his back. And I don't know how people didn't see that. I don't know how people could disagree with that. So when Charles Oliveira believes he's going to be on the back, or even says, I'll start the fight from my back, and people want to come forward and say, that's going to do it. Good guys don't get submitted from their back. That's the truth. And you can try to tell me that Nate Diaz just did it. Well, he might have ended up on his back, but that's sure as hell not where he found that position at. Not where he locked his hands. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. It's really important that you know what you're looking at. And there's a big question going into this fight. If Charles Oliveira gets taken down, is he going to try to find a submission, which is going to be a complete waste of time? And if Islam and team can get him to waste time 5 times, we're all done here and it's not worth time out because Islam's going to win the belt. Or is he going to try to get up? Talking about Charles here. And Charles looked for a submission for a moment, and then he stood up. It was the high spot of the whole fight. That grounded moment, that reversal, return to your feet, pressure Islam, hips in, underhook, hold him on the fence, was the high spot of the whole night. I saw that moment, said, my goodness. I don't know what's going to happen in these next 20 minutes. Charles is better than I thought. The mere fact that he did the reversal, the mere fact that he got to his feet, the mere fact that he got the underhook, the mere fact that he pushed him in the fence with his hips in, right? It's the way that he got him there and then held him against the fence Charles was better than I thought. And that was going to get really interesting. We've been told how good Islam's striking is. We haven't seen it. We've been told, though, we were told by guys whose reputations matter, guys that don't just come out and say things, right? Javier Mendez has never just come out and said something. Khabib Nurmagomedov's never just come out to say something. I'm trying to hype a fight. They've never done that. And these guys were vouching, saying his stand-up's good. Well, his stand-up was good. Those were good shots, and they were what we call tight. When you see guys, they got their hands down and they're trying to look cool and get the oohs and ahs from the crowd. There's a time for that, but your career is going to be very short. You better hope that you're under 26 years of age. Just for example, the guys like Mike Tyson that will go on and be remembered, their chin is down and their hands are up, and that's what Islam did. Islam had them down and up, and he would throw and they would come right back here. He never broke that position. It's one of the reasons that he wasn't in jeopardy on his feet. It's also one of the reasons that he could throw so much, including the shot that put Charles down. I enjoyed the match, but I love the storylines. I love the way that Daniel Cormier took control of that situation and said, get Volkanovski in here. I like that. He didn't say, where's Volk? Could we have Volk? Could you let Volk in? He's got the mic. He's in the ring. He said, get him in here. It's a way to handle that. And then Daniel told him when Volk did get in there, you're not going to get too close with me. You're not going to get through me. That was a great moment. And both fighters respected it and they stood their ground. But neither one of these fighters balked. They didn't then do the handshake and the hug and, hey, you look so great. They did none of this stuff. They called each other out for a showdown. Who, what, when, why, and where. Apparently in Australia, apparently at 155, apparently Volkanovski versus Makhachev, and more importantly, for the ranking of #1 pound for pound, at least according to Volk. Volk let him know, you're bringing the 55-pound belt, but I got a title too, which is the #1 fighter in the world. I'm putting that, you're putting some up, but I'm putting something up, and I'll see you soon. It was great. It was a great moment. It was perfect. If you come out of this card and we come out with all of these highlights, it's not the punches and the kicks that you're going to remember. As much as you think I want to see two guys bang or I need to see fights finish, you've been told that, so now you believe it and you regurgitate it. That's not what you want. That's not what you like. That's not why 280 was such a success. It was because we now have somewhere else to go. We didn't play checkers and close out the night. We're playing chess, and the next move is to be made. And the next move at 155 is going to be Volkanovski versus Makhachev.